my life.
It's the best 2 weeks of my life.
It definitely changed the way I think about my life here in Malawi.
It was a privilege to meet these people. They're the happiest people I've met in my life.
In 2019, a group of 18 teenagers from Dunblane Boys Brigade headed over to Likabula in Malawi in order to help some of the poorest and most deserving children in the world get a chance of a better education. They didn't realise just how much of an education this would be for them. The experience changed their lives forever.
The project began in June, where the team were selected and the plan for the fundraising was created.
The fundraising was a lot of fun. Everyone did their bit and we worked like a brilliant team.
It was a lot of fun and quite exciting when we met every month to see a totaliser slowly creep the target.
We all did an individual challenge, and we had some great team events that catered for everyone from young to old.
It was amazing to see the generosity of our friends and family. I think they realised that this wasn't any normal teenage jolly. We had full intentions in helping the people of Likabula as much as we could.
The fundraising was enormously successful with an amazing total of over £101,000. This meant that not only could we pay for the full development of a 2-classroom block and the renovation of 10 further classrooms at Pisani, we also had some options around funding other projects.
After a brief celebration and farewell dinner, it was time to get on the bus to Manchester Airport to start the adventure.
It took a long time to get to Likabula, but we did all manage to get there in one piece, despite a few hitches and a number of close calls.
It was amazing to see that first glimpse of the red soil of Malawi from the airplane window. It made it real that we are finally here in Malawi.
The hustle and bustle of Blantyre was fascinating to watch from the bus. It was so different to anything I'd ever seen before.
It was dark when we finally made it to Likabula House, where we got a warm welcome and a great dinner. We didn't realise the spectacular backdrop of Malawi Mountain until we woke up the next morning. It was a beautiful sight.
On the Friday morning, we headed down to Pisani to meet everyone there and to finally start work.
We didn't really get off the bus as the kids were surrounding the door. There were hundreds of kids trying to touch your skin and giving you high fives. It was unreal to see so many people so happy to see us.
It was such a crazy welcome. The kids were so excited to see us. We had a quick meeting and a welcome from the head teacher, then we got to go and play with the kids.
We just ended up playing football with them in our kilts. It was madness.
Some of us were surrounded by groups of kids
They then demanded that I sung to them, so I ended up saying If You're Happy and You Know It to around 20 kids.
I ended up teaching a group of kids how to send head, shoulders, knees, toes.
Nose. Do it. Head. Shoulders. Knees. Toes. Ears. Eyes. Mouth. Nose. Right. Ready. Do it. The proper song. That's the way we try to do it. Head.
We then had to get down to the job in hand. We split up into 2 teams so that we could do the bricklaying and the painting at the same time.
We did practice some bricklaying before we went to Malawi, but we weren't really prepared for this. The bricks were all individually made from clay and were all different sizes. We had to choose the nice looking smooth ones for the outside and then keep the more ugly ones for the inside.
After putting on the mortar, you had to line up the brick with the string line and suss out whether it was level or not. We didn't use spirit levels, but once it looked fairly level, the builders would give us a thumbs up and we would fill in the gaps with mortar to make sure that the row was secure.
I loved the bricklaying and the painting as I felt a part of a team, as I could use my skills in working.
The painting was quite tricky and took a long time. Although the previous project had painted all these classrooms before, the weather had caused a lot of damage and they definitely needed painting again.
The white paint was so thin that when we were painting over the old alphabets, it looked as if they were showing through more than they did. The painters tried to convince us that it would all be okay and that we just had to get on with it.
When we moved on to painting the blue, it was a bit better until we asked to paint the windows and the doors. They're the worst things ever. The anti-malaria pills gave us weird dreams, but the circles in the windows just gave us nightmares. The thing I liked most about the work was the chance it gave us to sing and dance with the kids of Pisani, who were always around whether school was on or not. They would mainly ask us what our names were, and they loved it when we sang to them. They all seem to remember, "We are," when we sang them "If You're Happy and You Know It" at the beginning of the week.
The kids were so curious about what we were doing, and they loved it when we spoke to them. One of the kids gave me a drawing of myself with Jamus, my new Malawian name, on it.
The thing I loved most about the work was the team brotherhood. We just loved working together. We put some tunes on the speaker, and when a good sing-along came on, we would just belt out as best we could.
I see a little silhouette on my Scaramouche, to the van thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening.
Although the work was the main reason for us being there and took up the majority of our time, we also managed to get loads of other Malawian experiences.
Church on Sunday was an amazing experience. The people were so happy to be there and really enjoyed themselves. The first part of the service was almost like a dance-a-thon. Different groups took turns in doing a wee dance and a song. We didn't need much encouragement to join in, and the congregation loved it when we did.
Let's say we weren't the best dancers in the church that day, but we definitely put in a huge amount of effort into it. The more extravagant the moves, the better reaction we got from the congregation.
Then it was our turn to provide the entertainment. We sang a couple of songs as a warm-up, and then we rocked the church to its foundations by introducing the slosh to Likabula.
The congregation loved it so much that they started to join in. That was a very special memory I'll take from Malawi. We were in the church for 3¼ hours, and our only memory was how enjoyable it was.
The next Sunday, when we were in Blantyre, we went to the church called St Michael's, which was a totally different experience. The church was very familiar as it had been built by Scottish missionaries who came over with David Livingstone. The service was also very similar to one that you would find in Scotland. There was not much dancing about, there was just some familiar hymns and very long prayers.
The people who attended the church in Blantyre all seemed to be quite wealthy, which was a huge contrast to what we experienced in Likabula. There were also a couple of parts to the service which didn't quite fit with some of our thoughts. Most of us preferred the first service down in Likabula. It was very interesting to notice the contrast between the two services.
Back in Likabula, we got the chance to meet some of the bursars who are supported by the Dunblane-Likabula Partnership. It is quite daunting to start up a conversation with someone from a whole different world, but we soon got stuck in and learned so much about their lives.
The guy I met was now the head of his house because both of his parents had died when he was really young.
The guy I met, who was one of the bursars, was very into fashion and design, but sadly at his school he had no opportunities to reach into this. He couldn't even do art as they have no equipment or no utensils to take part in these kind of activities.
The guy I met was so grateful for his education, however he had to walk 3 hours a day to get to school.
The bursar I met had a real passion for chemistry and wanted to become a pharmacist. One of the main problems though was that the school that he went to did not have any labs, so he could not partake in any practicals for his chemistry.
We were looked after an amazing team of hospitality whilst we were at Likabula House, and the food was mainly chicken, rice and also beef, pasta, chips and lasagna.
We got a wide choice of food at breakfast. There was cereal, porridge, fruit salad and also sausages, eggs and toast. We then got a packed lunch when we were working, which was a couple of sandwiches, a boiled egg, a piece of fruit and a pack of crisps.
We went out for dinner a few times. First to Malawi Pizza, where they seemed to have a never-ending supply of Malawi pizzas, which were like Hawaiians. We then went to Nancy's Dream Restaurant, and she served us a great meal with beef, chicken and nzima, which is like a dough made from maize flour. She also told us her inspirational story of how she opened a restaurant and what she does for the community. She does a lot for the vulnerable women in the area.
Everywhere we went, we were treated so well and given really nice food. However, it did make you feel guilty thinking about everything that we were eating when we knew that there were a huge amount of people in Likabula who went hungry for most of the day.
Nothing brought it home more than visiting the feeding programme at the school, which is the same thing as Mary's meals. There were hundreds of kids queuing up at the feeding hut to get what would probably be their only meal of the day.
According to Mr. Safari, the youngest kids were supposed to get in the queue first, but that's not what happened in practice. It seemed to be more like survival of the fittest. We also saw some kids finish their meal and then try and get in a different queue without getting caught.
I thought it would be really interesting to see it, as it's such a great idea to feed kids and get them into school, but when you see it in reality, it's just really sad. Once we had finished painting on the last day, ready to meet all the standard 7 learners in the church where they'd just finished an exam. We had taken loads of laminated photographs of things back home, and we split up into groups so that they could come round and ask questions.
It was madness. They were all hyper from their exam and swarmed around us. Some were asking questions, but most were just running in between all the groups.
I was showing them a picture of me on a tractor at my college, and they asked me what is a tractor and what is it used for.
I showed the students a photo of my high school, and they were amazed by the size and that it was a school, because of what they have in comparison to the size of it.
I was showing them pictures of my house and my family, and they were asking me all about the trees in my garden and the flowers and my mum and dad's clothes.
After the craziness of the lessons, Mr. Safari took us to a village not far from Pisani for a visit. When we were walking down the road, we were followed by hundreds of kids. It felt like we were celebrities.
The first house we went to see was actually the home of one of the bursars, Chupaniro Chilachi. There were 2 buildings, one for the parents and one for the kids and goats. The smaller building was no bigger than my bedroom, but housed 4 goats and 7 children. It was shocking.
It was clear to us this family had absolutely nothing. There were a spare set of clothes, and that was all. It really opened my eyes to what poverty was.
It made me feel quite angry when people had to live in conditions like these. It made me angrier when we went to Blantyre and saw the big gap in wealth there.
We then visited Lewis, who is on the Dunblane Likabula committee. His house was a bit bigger, but half of it had been destroyed in the recent floods. One of the walls to the bedroom had been replaced by straw.
I'll never forget that visit. We saw poverty with our own eyes. We met people who lived there, and they were the nicest and happiest people you could meet.
Everyone we met in Malawi was so nice to us. They were so friendly and couldn't do enough for us. The kids that hung around Pisani were brilliant. They were full of mischief and full of fun.
The guides, the Likabula staff and the teachers and the community made us feel so welcome. I think the biggest thing I took away from Malawi was all the happy people.
After we finished our work, we had a celebration at the school with the chiefs, the staff and the committee.
We were served a lunch of chicken and rice with some relishes and nasima that the teachers had prepared. We didn't have any cutlery, so we just used our hands. It was delicious.
After some more speeches to round things up, we went over to the football pitch for a game against the staff.
We had passed on the donated kits from Dunblane Soccer Club, and we had made our own pitches with the acrylic paint we had brought from the murals.
We got off to a great start with first half goals from James, Cameron, Alex and David. We were winning 4-1 and all was going well.
However, in the second half we did a great impersonation of any Scottish international side, and Pisani brought it back to 4-4. At 5-all, there was a bit of confusion about the length of the halves, which we sorted out. In the third half, Ross Mason scored a peach of a goal that would prove decisive and secure our first Project Malawi victory.
We were all quite sad to leave Pisani that day. We had such a great time working at the school, and it was hard to think that for most of us, and it was probably the last time we would be there.
However, we were very satisfied with what we had achieved. Although the new school block wouldn't be finished for a couple of months, we were delighted with what we had managed to build.
It was very clear to us what an impact 2 extra classrooms will be for the kids at Pisani. We had seen the overcrowded classrooms and all the lessons that were taking place outside, as there was no room in the school. The extra space we have given them will hopefully mean the children will get a much better education.
We were also really happy with how the other 10 classrooms looked by the time we had finished. The difference we made was huge, and we could tell by the appreciation of the staff and people that we had done something good and that this would help the community.
After leaving Pisani, we headed to the Longway National Park for an evening at a safari. We stayed at Kuchiri Lodge, which was right in the park. The boat ride gave us great views of hippos, crocodiles and elephants, and in the morning game drive let us see a multitude of other animals.
We then went to Game Heaven Lodge beside Blantyre for 2 nights before heading home. This allowed us to explore Blantyre a bit more and also meet the Blantyre Boys Brigade.
I loved Game Haven Lodge, as there were animals all in the complex. We went for a mountain bike ride and saw giraffes, zebras and loads of other animals. It was a nice relaxing end to our adventure.
My favourite memory of Malawi was meeting up with the Blantyre Boys Brigade, as I think it was the closest comparison you could get, as we are all the same age group and all in the Boys Brigade. It was interesting to learn about the different customs they have here compared to ours back home.
Seeing the kids' joyful, happy faces.
My favourite part of Malawi was the last day at Pisani, just seeing how grateful all the kids and the teachers were of our work that we'd done for the past week.
My favourite part about Malawi was the kids singing and dancing in Pisani school all the time to raise our morale. Exciting, changing, fun.
Life-changing experience.
Thought it was amazing, challenging, and different.
Fun, hard work and enjoyable.
Thought-provoking, fun and life-changing.
Sad, joyful, happy.
Respect, teamwork, fun.
Adventurous, life-changing and hard work.
Amazing, challenging and difficult.
Hard to believe.
Amazing, heartwarming and special.
I feel 3 words is not enough to fully describe how I felt about my trip to Malawi.
The funniest thing that happened in Malawi for me was watching the kids play with the gloves that we use for painting, just kind of seeing how happy it made them, even though it was just a glove.
Can I say getting malaria? The funniest, yeah.
So it was funny?
The funniest part about Malawi was probably getting malaria, as I've now overcame it and I'm perfectly fine.
Is it always be funny that Malcolm got malaria?
Malawi has changed me, as I understand now that the houses in Malawi and other African countries are really that bad, and how money that we give can help support and rebuild, especially in times of flooding, houses that they live in.
Malawi has broadened my worldview on like social politics and wealth. I don't know what I'm on about. I'm trying to say like I now know what extreme poverty is, because it is extreme poverty, and that's something that I might not ever see again.
I think it's made me realise what I have and take it for granted a lot more.
I think it's given me a different output on life. In anything I look, I can compare it not only to Dunblane but to Malawi, and know that I'm sort of outside the bubble now.
It's made me realise more so than ever our place in the world and how we can help so many people if we just open our eyes and have a look around and do as much as we can.
Malawi has changed me. It's taught me to appreciate everything in life, no matter how small it may be.
Definitely appreciate the life of what happened in Dunblane. You don't really, when you live here, you don't really quite comprehend the conditions that are living over there.
Malawi's changed me is by accepting what I have, not being all greedy in that, just enjoying life at the full.
Absolutely go for it. It was a great experience. It's really changed my view on things, and it's really helped a lot of people over there. And I would hope if someone was thinking about it, to do it again, they would.
Definitely do it. And I put my name down beginning just to put it on my CV, if I'm honest. Didn't know what I was thinking, if I would enjoy the whole thing, but actually being there, doing the hard work, seeing the people there, bonding with the Malawians and making stronger friendships with people who I'm not really, I wasn't really friends with them, but became lots of friends. It's a very worthwhile trip, and it's one that I hope to do again sometime.
Be prepared for what you're going to see, because it is a lot to take in, but it's good. It's a very good experience.
Project Malawi is a really life-changing experience. I would totally recommend it for any other boys that would like to do this.
I'd definitely say give it a try, because it was the best thing I've ever done, and I think they'd enjoy it a lot.
Definitely yes. I think it's really changed my thoughts on life, and to give other people the opportunity, definitely yes.
If you have the opportunity to go on a project like this, there's absolutely no way you could turn it down. And all the hard work and all the effort you put into it will be completely worth doing.
Go into it with an open mind, as in going to work with people that you've never worked with, talk to people that you've never talked to, just try and be as open as possible to everything and take it all in, write it all down and enjoy it.
I'd say definitely go, because it is a huge eye-opener for what we've got that they don't have, and just go and experience it. You won't regret it at all.
I would say definitely do it. It's one of the best experiences of my life, and I would go again in a heartbeat.
Project Malawi 2019 has been the best conclusion to the 13 years of my Boys Brigade experience, and I would recommend it to anyone to take part in this opportunity should they get the chance.